Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to this episode. This is the first episode of many that we are going to talk about issues that are affecting us as a country. But today, I would like to talk about why Baba is not loyal to his friends. If you look at the history of this country, every time there is an election in this country, Baba has formed a team. But that team has excluded his former friends every time. 1997 elections, there was an opposition made of the biggest people in politics in this country. There was Mother Karua, there was Charity Ngilu, there was Georgia Nyona, there was Mother Karua, there was Kibaki. They couldn't agree to form a coalition in 1997, which by the way would have meant Moi goes home immediately. But of course also in 1992, the same thing would have happened if they had stayed together. But by then Baba was not a candidate, so we can't fault him for that, but we can fault the people, the bigwigs by then. So in 1997, the bigwigs, the Mother Karua, the Charity Ngilu, the Wamalwa, the Kibaki, the big shots, they couldn't come together and agree as opposition that we are going to work together and defeat Moi. So they lose the elections. Baba, after elections, he couldn't stay in opposition. He finds a way of working with Moi because he knew if he works with Moi, he will be the highest ranking person in their cooperation with KANU. So he'll be the direct in line to inherit the candidature in 2002. But it didn't happen. We go to 2002 elections, Baba leaves KANU. He had formed new friends, but he couldn't stick with them in KANU to fight for his right there. Because of course Moi has now chosen Uhuru to be the candidate, so everybody starts moving out. They meet again in NAC. They form NAC. Of course, before forming NAC, there was an alliance way before they joined called NAK, National Alliance of Kenya, which comprised of the opposition guys now, who by the way, Baba left in opposition in 1997. Charity Ngilu, Wamalwa, and Kibaki. He leaves those people, he goes to KANU. They coalesce together, he follows them. He leaves his new friends. Baba is not loyal. That's proof number one. Baba joins NAC. But now they have to form a bigger umbrella body called NAC. Now, National Rainbow Coalition. There are big wigs there, the biggest shots now. Both from KANU, from opposition. They form a big umbrella body. They win the election. There's an MOU supposedly between Raila and Kibaki. Kibaki couldn't honor that because it depended on the referendum. So Raila goes to the referendum and opposes the new constitution that was supposed to be enacted in 2005. So Kibaki loses the referendum. That's the banana versus orange thing. The orange win, and they start coalescing again around the orange. Everybody, the biggest shots again, from government and from opposition. From opposition, Musalia Mudavadi, that's Musalia Mudavadi. There is Uhuru Kenyatta, there is Ruto. Of course, from now, the government, there's Raila, then there's Kalonzo. 5 biggest shots. They go to the referendum, they campaign against it, they win. Now they have an orange to share. The orange is so small because now the orange is the presidency. Uhuru sees this thing, I'm not going to get anything from here, he goes and supports the government. A good friend would have persuaded Uhuru to stay so that by the time they are going to the elections, Mount Kenya will be split. But Baba, because of his ego, he doesn't do that. He lets Uhuru go. So the Mount Kenya region is now under one umbrella leadership of the president, and the now deputy leader of Mount Kenya as Uhuru. Uhuru is now going to use the Kibaki administration to gain tracts in Mount Kenya and take over Mount Kenya region. Again, now they are left with 4 guys. These 4 guys, again, they couldn't agree. Kalonzo wants to be president. Raila wants to be president. They couldn't muscle out the party from Kalonzo. So instead of persuading Kalonzo to stay with them so that they can win the elections, they let Kalonzo go with the party. They go form another one. The idea that you say that I can do without you, that's what has killed Baba over and over again. So they form Orange, ODM. Kalonzo remains with ODM Kenya. Elections come, there is a grand coalition, Baba becomes the prime minister. One of his friends who left prior to 2007 election is the deputy prime minister on the other side. Now you have 2 biggest people in your party. Of course, in politics, numbers matter. Instead of Baba choosing the person who gave them the highest numbers in the elections, he chooses his closest friend, Mudavadi, instead of choosing Ruto. Of course, from 2007, you can see the ambition and the ambitiousness of William Samoei Ruto. I think that's why Raila never chose him. If he had chosen him to be the deputy prime minister, Ruto would have muscled everybody to his side with the powers the deputy prime minister position had. So he chooses somebody who he can manipulate easily. He chooses Mudavadi. Mudavadi is so quiet, he's not aggressive, so he chooses him. But things start getting worse when there's a scandal in the Ministry of Agriculture where the Ruto side is saying is Baba, the Baba side is saying it's Ruto. So the party is split into the middle. Everybody who's supporting Ruto start walking out. The famous tulijenga hii party, tutahama na kila kitu tulikuja nao, hata kama ni mabati. So they start walking out. Baba doesn't learn. One of the biggest vote baskets in this country is leaving. Even if you remain with one person, without the head of that vote-rich basket region, you can't get anything. He remains with Kosgei because he thinks Kosgei joined politics before Ruto. They had a way of getting into Rift Valley. They couldn't. So Ruto moves with everybody, all the MPs from Rift Valley, all the MPs from Northeastern mostly, and they go and form URP. Baba doesn't learn. After losing Rift Valley, he couldn't learn. So again, things started getting worse between him and Mudavadi. Mudavadi walks away, goes and forms ANC. Now Baba has been left alone as a party. The biggest shots, Ruto has URP, Uhuru has formed TNA, Kalonzo has Wiper, ODM Kenya has changed to Wiper. Wetangula's Ford Kenya now has taken it over from Muskari Kombo. The biggest shots in politics in this country are forming parties because Raila couldn't keep them in ODM, the original ODM prior to 2007. All of them are forming parties. Now Raila is left by himself. The only biggest person in that party is Oparanya and Joe. Joe is from Coast Province, former Coast Province. Oparanya is from Western Province. But they don't have the human capital, the voter capital that the rest have. So we go to an elections, there's a coalition between TNA and URP, that's Uhuru and Ruto. There's another coalition between now, a forced coalition, because, for instance, Kalonzo couldn't get anything from the TNA side and from the URP side, the Jubilee coalition. So he goes, they force themselves together, the Wetangulas, the Kalonzo and Raila, they form together, they form the quad coalition. We go to an elections, Jubilee wins. Again, infighting starts. That loyalty, the infighting that happened prior to 2007 starts again after 2013. The infightings of who gets what. Okay? Wiper wants something, Ford Kenya wants something. They fight. But because again, it's a marriage of convenience, they are forced to work together in 2017. But now, there is an addition. Musalia Mudavadi joins the bandwagon. But they couldn't win again. Why? Because they take 5 years fighting. By the time they are coming together to form a policy framework on how they are going to win an election, it is too late. And again, the people who fuel these divisions is not Raila per se. Why I fault Raila is because he doesn't speak. Why can't you speak when these things are happening? When Abab Namwamba is chased away from the party, of course Abab Namwamba is non-consequential, but he sends a message to the voters. They vote for you. Of course they vote against Abab Namwamba, but there are 1, 2, 3 people who are going to vote against you because the way you handle things. So, between 2013 and 2017, the infightings that happened in ODM and CORD in particular, it was too late for them to come together as NASA coalition now to win the presidency. These other guys are campaigning immediately after winning an election. You are fighting, then you start campaigning months to the election. You can't beat them. And in this country, for you to beat somebody in government, it must be substantive vote. You can't work with 50 plus 1. You need to work with 60 plus 1. And you need to sit down and look at the numbers. Where am I getting this to get to 50? And where am I getting the plus? They couldn't do that. They are beaten. Baba Ken shows up in the steps of Harambee House in 2018 without his friends. He shows up without his friends. No Kalonzo. Kalonzo starts, kujitetea huko. He was supposed to be called in a number, a Nigerian number. Wetangula has no clue, but DVD has no clue. So they are forced to be integrated again into the handshake shenanigans, they start the BBI brigade. They start the BBI. BBI was the most divisive idea that this country has had. Because even among themselves, they couldn't agree on what they want. Even when the reports were coming out, even sometimes Baba didn't know what's in the report. And he is the brain behind BBI. So they start forcing these people together. They start forcing Kalonzo, Madividi, Wetangula, Gideon, Raila, Ngilu together because of the animal they want to create, then share it. It's better you go hunting than creating. You can't create an animal then kill it to eat. It's better you go hunting for what you know. So BBI divides this country into two. Of course, now, so there is Raila, there is Ngilu, there is Kalonzo, there is Madividi, there is Wetangula, there is Gideon, there is, of course, now the sponsor, Uhuru. They couldn't even convince Kenyans, let alone judges of the Supreme Court, that BBI is a noble idea. So BBI flopped. They have spent 4 years talking about BBI. While the person they were supposed to go against in 2022 election has been campaigning immediately after they won the 2017 elections. There's no way you are going to beat that person. Again, Raila doesn't stay loyal to his friends. Raila lets two people walk away from the group that had coalesced around BBI. The biggest. One has a whole county to himself. Bungoma. He lets Wetangula join Ruto. He lets Musalia Mudavadi join Ruto. That was the end of 2022. The moment they met at Bomas, the moment Ruto was at the delegation conference of ANC and Wetangula was there, that was the moment the election was won. Because if you look at it, the 50 plus 1, the 200 and something votes came from Bungoma. That's where they came from. If Raila had stuck with his friends, that 50 plus 1 would have been his. He will have won with at least 100,000 votes if he had stuck with his friends. Ladies and gentlemen, again, we are headed to 2027. As we speak today, Uhuru is the chairman of Azimio, but is nowhere in the activities of Azimio. The talks are starting, but you see glimpses of Martha Karua. You don't see her involved directly. You just see glimpses. Then Kalonzo has been set up to be the delegation chair from Azimio side. That thing is going to flop completely. Look at the other side. The other side have sent people whose political careers are starting. They are going to use those talks to understand how things work so that they can grow politically. They are going to use Kalonzo to learn how negotiations work. The people in that by some talks from the government side, those are students. They are going to learn. And if Kalonzo doesn't realize, chances are Raila is using him in case it backfires. He says those talks were done by Kalonzo. It was not done by me. So the friends are narrowing and narrowing and narrowing until Baba will remain with ODM. The only person in ODM who is active other than Baba is Oparanya, and is from, is working. We only see glimpses on him in meetings here and there, but actively, no. Then Joho went for a sabbatical. We have never heard from him again. So as we speak today, it's only the party leader of ODM and the one deputy party leader who are active in politics, but you don't see anything substantial coming from ODM as we speak. Unless they come up with something prior to 2027, which I don't think, they are going to be trashed again. And I think Baba need to learn. And anybody who is going to grow out of ODM need to learn. When you have friends, be loyal to those friends. Because those friends, you need them in future. If you don't need them right now, you need them in future. Thank you for watching this episode. We'll be creating more and more. We'll be discussing more and more. Please subscribe and have a good day.